Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com, and in this video we're looking at a watch from Breitling, a watch I personally own, the Pistachio B09 Premier. So if you're new here, this is where we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as an authorized dealer. So in this video, we're gonna do a deep dive on this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, also giving more of my take as an owner of this watch. And then also, if you have any questions about this piece or looking to buy it, check out the link in the description down below to the product page. Without further ado, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. Breitling is one of the most storied names in Swiss watchmaking, with a history that dates back over 140 years. During that time, the brand can claim many legitimate icons, including the Navitimer, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, the Super Ocean, and even something like the Aerospace, just to name a few here. But before any of these got their start, Breitling launched its most elegant model family of all, the Premier. Debuting in 1943, this collection featured refined chronographs in steel and gold that could twist the common formula of other chronographs of the brand from the period. The early Premier models represent grails for discerning vintage collectors, although the line vanished from the catalog around the mid-20th century. Fortunately for enthusiasts, the name was brought back after George Kern became the leader at Breitling in 2017, with the revamp of the Premier line coming a year later with the Breitling Premier B01s. As part of this resurgence, those original B01 Premiers checked in with a 42mm case diameter, with two registers equally balancing one another on the dial. However, in 2021, Breitling released my personal favorite watch from their entire contemporary collection, the 40mm B09 with a pistachio green dial. This piece combines a variety of characteristics to deliver a dress package with a manual wound chronograph, making for a smaller case and a striking coloration in a shade of green I have yet to see duplicated in the industry. This watch has probably been a part of my collection for 6 months, so I wanted to give a longer term review of the piece. So since we have shot this watch multiple times over the years, we're going to be combining footage of my personal version as well as previously shot models over the last several years. One of the most common misconceptions about Breitling is that all they have to offer for their watches are large pieces, despite there being plenty of examples to prove otherwise, including the 41mm Navitimers that wear like 39 to 40mm on the wrist, and then also things like the 40mm Chronomat GMTs, and of course this Breitling Premier B09. As mentioned, with the introduction of the B09 within the Premier, it enabled the case to shrink both in diameter and especially thickness, making for a worthy status as a dress chronograph if we want to use that term. The diameter measures at 40mm, with the thickness coming in with my calipers at 13.1mm and the lug to lug being just 47mm. The measurements on paper are basically how this watch wears, so in other words, rather true to size if not slightly smaller. Set between 20mm lugs, the Premier is equipped with a thickly padded, and I mean thick, glossy crocodile strap accented by a yellow-hued calfskin lining. Even after 6 months of wear, this strap is still not fully broken in. Tapering to 18mm, the strap terminates at a milled dual button deployant constructed sporting both polished and brushed surfaces, being topped off with the Breitling engraved signature. Given the absence of a bracelet for this watch, the case finishing might seem like an afterthought when you're thinking about all the factors that come into play why this piece might separate. Though as you inspect closer, you begin to notice some exceptional detailing. The top of the case is mostly polished with a line facet running the length of each lug until meeting a stopping point at the case sides brushing. There are a couple of elements to the case side that I absolutely love. One is the horizontally lined engraved pattern stacking to add visual interest, as well as the rectangular pushers that match the surrounding side presentation. You have brushing being on that top surface with polished edges. The large 7mm sign crown is of the push-pull variety, featuring deeply recessed grooves for easy rotation of the manual wound caliber on the inside. The crown ridging is a tad sharp for my taste, but it doesn't make for the daily activity of winding the manual caliber less enjoyable while making it easy to grip. Despite the mentioning of elegance of the package and the push-pull crown, the Premier is still capable of 100 meters of water resistance, beating out much of the fellow chronograph competition for this sub $10,000 price range. The visual step from the polished bezel meets the box sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating, offering an easy viewing of that pistachio green. A dial color can oftentimes make or break a watch design for me. And the first time I saw this piece in person, it was during a shopping episode with Kevin O'Leary, and I couldn't keep my eyes off of this one in the case. It was in a sea of watches, and it just had this ability to stand out with its dynamic color off the tasteful dial layout, which was a winning combination I have still not grown tired of years later. Looking closer at the dial, a raised outer tachometer scale sets the perimeter to the central time-telling elements. One step in is a printed minute track with small Arabic markers every 5 minutes, and then applied hour markers just within. The 2, 4, 8, and 10 are interrupted by the sunken dual registers, a running seconds at 9, and a 30-minute totalizer at 3, decorated with concentric circle grooves that is barely detectable, yet is enough to add some dimension to the package. Another cool feature of the 30-minute counter is the 3-minute timing increments shown in longer black lines. This is a historically accurate feature among Breitling pilot watches that would make it easier for quick calculations of speed and distance. Dial text is clean and simple with the applied B and printing below at 12 with only chronograph and premiere subtly printed at 6. A syringe style handset contains superluminova that shines serviceably, but not exceptionally, with a simple stick chronograph seconds hand with a hollowed lollipop counterweight topping off the dial presentation. The B09, which is a reworked B01 absent of a rotor, is on full display through the Sapphire exhibition back. To understand the B09, you first have to know the B01, which made its debut inside the Chronomat in 2009 and gained wider adoption as the caliber of choice in the Premier line and other Breitling chronos. The B09, like the B01, is a true in-house manufactured vertical clutch column wheel chronograph with 70 hours of power reserve while beating away at 4 Hz or 28,800 vibrations per hour off a single barrel. As is commonly the case for Breitling chronographs, the column wheel is exceptionally responsive with its stop and its start, and additionally, the movement is on full display and is well finished for the price. The movement showcases laser engraving, you have Geneva striping across the bridges, you have mirror polishing on the chronograph drivetrain and column wheel, all working together to create depth and detail. Also, another fun note about this movement, you might not expect it given that it's not broadcast like many other brands in the industry front and center, Breitling is rather discreet about the fact that this B09 is COSC certified, meaning that it was tested to run no worse than -4 to +6 seconds across 5 different positions during testing, with this example running well within those numbers. In terms of general operation here again, 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 Hz. This movement does feature hacking, so stopping the seconds hand when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and again 70 hours of power reserve. So now to unpack, talking more about the Breitling Premier B09 Pistachio. So some of the cons, some of the pros affiliated with this piece after a longer term period of owning it. So first talking about some of the cons, and the first thing I'll bring up is the factory strap is not my favorite, both in its coloration. I think it does work with the pistachio green, but mostly because of the unorthodox position and the padding as well. So for some people, I could see this maybe not being the best strap pairing. This is a more versatile watch than it probably gets credit for, given that it has this pistachio green. That might sound like it's not going to be one that you can bring in every single scenario, which maybe is the case, but I have found it is much more versatile than it might let on. Also, the crown itself, I don't think it's enough to deter someone from ever owning this piece, but having several different manual wound chronographs, I find this one to be the least pleasing to manually wind every single day. A lot of that comes down to there's not as much response in the winding. It's not very audible. The tactile feel is not as strong, while also being sharper in the ridges of that crown. And since this is more of a dress chronograph, I'll put that in air quotes. You can't see me doing it, but I am putting them in air quotes. Lume is not as bright as some other options in this price category that have more of this sporty upside. And now we shift into some of the pros. This is an opinion. Not going to be for everybody, but this dial color is so unique. I love it. There are other watches out there that probably get close to this, but I've yet to see one match this exact tone and do it as exceptionally as this Breitling B09. And then the movement on the inside is stellar. You have the B09, which is not going to have that rotor, so you can enjoy some of the up finishing that comes with this. This is more of an industrialized finish movement, but nice to look at nevertheless. But the performance is really where this one separates, or at least sets a standard for this dollar amount. You have 70 hours of power reserve, COSC certified movement, and also the reduced thickness allows this one to wear so well on the wrist. Believe it or not, there's not many luxury chronographs under $10,000 that have a thickness of this compact or less, just given the complexity of the caliber itself, and there not being that many manually wound chronographs under $10,000 in general. Further, the Premier line is one of these sleeper hits. It's not one of the main stars of the Breitling collection compared to the Navitimer, Chronomat, Super Ocean, even something like the Aerospace gets a lot of shine. The Premier is an underdog of the entire lineup despite being around since the 1940s. But why did I ultimately decide on the Premier B09 in pistachio green? There's this combination that this watch presents. It is a lot of the bells and whistles that you expect for a watch of this price from a brand that maybe you don't expect to be delivering a watch of this style. Have that combined with a dial color that is unmatched in the industry with all the specs that I think you would want with wearable dimensions. It checks off many of these boxes and is a watch I would strongly recommend for those that are either interested in Breitling or want a chronograph that have dressier undertones with a dial, once again, that is unlike anything else you'll find. All right, guys, that's all we have for this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really do appreciate that. That does help out our channel here. But also, if you are in the market for this watch, it is available on TeddyBaldassarre.com. TeddyBaldassarre.com is an authorized dealer for all the brands that we carry. Every purchase comes with quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for the product that you purchase. In addition to all of this, if you have questions about any of the watches that we have on our site, we have a team dedicated to being on live chat 18 hours a day, so feel free to reach out to us. And also, how we're able to keep doing what we're doing here as well as on the main channel and producing content is through selling watches. So if you are in the market, we'd absolutely love to have your business. Keeps us going, and we love what we do. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.